The Cyclist, by Erik Røde, 1755. Read by Sally Ronstadt. Continued.
Chapter 2. Carlo. Scene 6. The Modest Abode. As the wheels of my road bike hummed in rhythm with the countryside's tranquil melody, Ponti's trusty three-wheeler led the way through this picturesque Italian landscape. The rolling hills, dressed in a patchwork quilt of vibrant green and golden fields, stretched endlessly under the boundless blue sky. The journey was not just a physical one. It was a passage through time and stories, an immersion in the heart of rural Italy. Nestled amidst this undulating terrain, the modest homes that peppered the countryside whispered tales of generations past. Each abode bore the scars of time, their weathered facades echoing the resilience of those who had called them home. As I followed Ponti's lead, my eyes wandered to these rustic dwellings, wondering about the lives lived within their ancient walls. The road, a sinuous ribbon of well-worn asphalt, guided our way with graceful curves and bends. It was a thoroughfare that had witnessed countless journeys, a silent observer of the ebb and flow of life in this tranquil corner of the world. Here, time moved at its own unhurried pace, and the moments unfurled like the vines in a vineyard, slowly and with purpose. And then, like a gem hidden in the heart of nature's embrace, we arrived at our destination, Ponti's charming cottage. Tucked away from the world's bustle, it stood as a sanctuary of simplicity and warmth. With a graceful dismount, I left my road bike behind and took my first steps onto the cobbled path leading to the cottage's front door. Waiting to welcome me was Ponti's husband, Carlo, a man whose appearance belied the wisdom etched into his soul by the passage of years. Carlo, standing at about 5 feet 10 inches, possessed a slim yet sturdy frame that spoke of a lifetime of hard work and outdoor living. His once jet black hair now bore the distinguished marks of age, with streaks of silver weaving through. His rugged good looks and the enduring strength that emanated from him seemed as though they were innate, an integral part of his being. Carlo was a man of old-school values, where a handshake was a bond, honor was a creed, and tradition ran deep in his veins, shaping every facet of his life. In contrast to Carlo's seasoned presence, Ponti exuded a youthful vitality that defied her age. Her spirit, unburdened by the weight of years, shone through her eyes like a beacon of light. She possessed a timeless beauty, one that had remained untouched by the hands of time. Her visage was a demonstration to the purity of her soul, and her youthful charm was a reflection of the joy she found in the simple pleasures of life. Scene 7. A warm greeting. Carlo, with a sincere smile, greeted Alex warmly and said, "Benvenuto, I'm Carlo. Grazie for helping my wife." Alex, equally pleased to meet Carlo and immersed in their shared gratitude, replied, "It's a pleasure to meet you, Carlo. I'm Alex, and I'm glad I could be of assistance." Ponti, her eyes twinkling with warmth, interjected, "Carlo, Alex fixed my bicycle tire. Without him, I would have been stranded." Carlo, nodding appreciatively, responded in his limited English, "Grazie, Alex. You saved us from una situazione difficile." Alex, his respect for Carlo growing with each interaction, replied, "You're welcome, Carlo. I'm just glad I could help." The atmosphere was infused with a sense of camaraderie and gratitude as they stood on the threshold of Ponti and Carlo's charming cottage, the modest abode that had become an unexpected haven for Alex in the heart of Italy. The cottage itself exuded a timeless charm. Its stone walls, weathered by the passage of years, stood as an indication to the enduring spirit of its occupants. A lush garden surrounded the cottage, bursting with colorful blooms and the sweet fragrance of blooming flowers. The air was filled with the soothing sounds of birdsong, a harmonious symphony that seemed to welcome all who ventured into this tranquil haven. Carlo, with a hospitable gesture, invited Alex inside. "Per favor, come in, Alex. Our home is your home." Alex, touched by Carlo's kindness, stepped inside the cozy cottage and said, "Grazie, Carlo. Your home is beautiful." The interior of the cottage was a reflection of its owners, simple yet filled with warmth and character. Wooden beams adorned the ceiling, and sunlight streamed through small, rustic windows, casting intricate patterns of light and shadow across the room. The furniture was well worn but comfortable, and the walls were adorned with framed photographs that captured moments from a lifetime of shared experiences. Ponti, her eyes sparkling with pride in her home, added, "We may not have much, but we have amore and amicizia. Love and friendship." Alex, deeply moved by the genuine hospitality of this couple, smiled warmly and replied, "That's more valuable than anything, Ponti." As they settled into the cottage, the evening sun cast a golden glow over their impromptu gathering. Alex and Carlo, two individuals from opposite corners of the world, found themselves bound by the threads of humanity, sharing a moment of connection that transcended language and borders. In the embrace of this charming cottage, the tapestry of their lives began to weave together, creating a story that none of them could have anticipated but would forever cherish. Scene 8. A feast under the stars. Under the star-studded canopy of the night sky, the world seemed to slow its pace, and time felt as if it were suspended. The charming cottage, bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, welcomed us with open arms. It was a haven of warmth and serenity, far removed from the chaos of the outside world. As Carlo prepared a meal that would soon tantalize our taste buds, the savory scents wafted through the air, wrapping around us like a comforting embrace. Carlo, with his boundless generosity, insisted that I stay for dinner. Initially, I hesitated, not wanting to impose on their goodwill, but their welcoming smiles dissolved any reservations I held. Gathering around a sturdy wooden table, its surface adorned with flickering candles, we became a tableau of diverse backgrounds and shared moments. Carlo's old-world charm and his innate sense of hospitality set the stage for a feast that extended beyond the culinary delights. It was a feast of camaraderie, a celebration of human connection in its purest form. As we sat around the table, waiting for Carlo's culinary masterpiece to emerge from the kitchen, the atmosphere became more relaxed. Carlo, Ponti, and I engaged in a bit of small talk, sharing stories and laughter. Carlo, with a mischievous glint in his eye, began with a joke. He said, "You know, Alex, in Italy, we have a saying about food. We say, a meal without wine is like a day without sunshine. So, tonight, we will enjoy both." Ponti chimed in and added, "And Carlo, he believes it is his mission to find the best wine for every meal." We all shared a hearty laugh, and I replied, "Well, Carlo, I'm certainly looking forward to your wine selection. I have a feeling it will be as amazing as your pasta." Carlo, ever the storyteller, then regaled us with a humorous anecdote about a cooking mishap that had happened years ago. His animated gestures and Ponti's infectious laughter made the tale even more entertaining. As the stories and jokes flowed, the barriers of language seemed to fade away, replaced by the universal language of laughter and collective encounters. It was a beautiful moment of connection and camaraderie under the starlit sky. As the evening unfolded, we exchanged stories that transcended the boundaries of language. With gestures and smiles, we bridged the gaps in communication, weaving a tapestry of mutual experiences. The stars above bore witness to our newfound friendship, their twinkling lights a proof to the magic that can occur when strangers become friends. Underneath that vast celestial canvas, in the heart of the Italian countryside, the world seemed to shrink. The differences that once separated us were replaced by the common threads of laughter, kindness, and the simple joy of breaking bread together. As the night deepened, and the stars continued their timeless dance, I couldn't help but feel grateful for the chance encounter that had led me to Carlo and Ponti's doorstep. It was a feast under the stars, a banquet of the heart, and a memory that would remain etched in my soul for years to come. Carlo, with a twinkle in his eye, stood up and made a grand gesture towards the kitchen. His words, though few, carried an air of anticipation as he said, "Dinner, Alex. You will see. Carlo, good cook." Ponti, her face radiant with pride for her husband's culinary skills, added, "Carlo's pasta. Molto buono." I couldn't help but smile, feeling a sense of gratitude for the kindness and hospitality of this Italian couple. As I waited in eager anticipation, the fragrant aroma of Italian herbs and spices wafted from the kitchen, filling the air with the promise of a delicious meal. Scene 9. A culinary delight. As the stars above began to twinkle in the night sky, the enchanting aroma of the meal that Carlo had prepared filled the air. The table, set under the open sky, was adorned with flickering candles that cast a warm, inviting glow. Carlo's culinary skills were a witness to his heritage, a culinary journey that promised to be as memorable as the evening itself. Alex, Carlo, and Ponti gathered around the rustic wooden table, their faces illuminated by the candlelight. Carlo's warm smile was an expression of both pride and hospitality. He presented each dish with a flourish, explaining the origin and significance of every ingredient. The pasta, Carlo explained, comes from the wheat fields just beyond our cottage. The tomatoes are grown in our garden, ripened by the generous Italian sun. And the olive oil, well, that's a family secret passed down through the generations. Ponti, her eyes reflecting the anticipation of the feast, shared a knowing glance with her husband. Her appreciation for Carlo's culinary talents was evident in every smile and nod. The meal began with a simple yet exquisite salad, a medley of freshly harvested greens drizzled with Carlo's secret olive oil and vinegar dressing. It was a refreshing prelude to the main course. The pasta, al dente and perfectly coated in a rich, savory sauce, was a revelation. As Alex took his first bite, the flavors danced on his palate, a harmonious blend of tomatoes, herbs, and a hint of garlic. You know, Carlo said with a twinkle in his eye, there's an old saying in Italy that a good pasta dish is like a warm embrace. I hope you feel embraced by our hospitality tonight. Alex, savoring each mouthful, nodded enthusiastically and said, I do, Carlo. This is incredible. It's like a taste of Italy itself. The conversation flowed as freely as the wine that accompanied the meal. Carlo and Ponti shared stories of their life in the countryside, of the changing seasons, and the traditions that had been passed down through generations. As the evening wore on, Carlo, ever the raconteur, regaled them with humorous anecdotes of mishaps and triumphs in the kitchen. Laughter filled the air, a joyful chorus that resonated with the stars above. Ponti, her eyes twinkling with mischief, interjected with a joke of her own, her laughter like a melodious note in the night. Alex joined in, contributing his own tales of cycling adventures and mishaps on the road. Amidst the laughter and camaraderie, the barriers of language seemed to disappear. Carlo's broken English, Ponti's shyness, and Alex's attempts at both became a tapestry of communication that transcended words. As the night deepened, Carlo refilled their wine glasses, and a sense of contentment settled over them. The stars above bore witness to this serendipitous gathering, a moment where three lives intersected in the most unexpected and beautiful way. In the midst of the Italian countryside, under the canopy of stars, they were not strangers but kindred spirits, bound by the collaborative moment of a culinary delight that had nourished both body and soul. Scene 10. A connection through language. As the night unfolded, the warmth of Carlo and Ponti's hospitality blended seamlessly with the gentle Italian breeze. Around that rustic wooden table, their hearts and experiences spilled out in a symphony of conversation. Carlo, with his limited English, shared tales of his son's adventures in America. The mere mention of the United States brought a spark to Alex's eyes, a glimmer of pride mixed with nostalgia. Carlo painted vivid pictures with his words as he recounted his son's experiences working and cycling in the States. Alex listened intently, eager to bridge the gap between his world and Carlo's. Your son must be an incredible cyclist, he remarked, trying to convey his admiration. Carlo's face beamed with pride as he replied, yes, he was very good. Competed all over, in Italy. Ponti, her eyes filled with warmth, added her perspective in her charming broken English. Ah, the races! I remember when he would come home and share stories of his triumphs. It was a joy to see him so passionate. Alex smiled, feeling the connection between their stories and his own journey in the world of cycling. It's amazing how cycling can bring people together, no matter where they're from, he said, lifting his glass in a silent toast. Carlo and Ponti nodded in agreement, their faces reflecting a shared appreciation for the sport and its ability to transcend borders. The night carried on, punctuated by laughter and the clinking of glasses. As Carlo shared more stories of his son's time in America, Alex couldn't help but feel a kinship. He, too, had experienced the thrill of cycling competitions, the camaraderie of teammates, and the joys of victory. In return, Alex shared stories of his own cycling adventures, from the bustling streets of New York City to the scenic routes he had explored in Europe. He spoke of the challenges and triumphs, the moments of exhaustion and exhilaration. Carlo and Ponti listened with genuine interest, their expressions an evidence to their growing connection. As the evening deepened, it became clear that their shared love for cycling was not just a common interest, it was a bridge that had brought them together across continents and languages. In that moment, the barriers of words ceased to exist, replaced by the unspoken understanding of kindred spirits. Under the vast expanse of the Italian night sky, they continued to share stories, laughter, and the universal language of human connection. Each anecdote, each shared moment, wove a tapestry of experiences that bound them together in a way that transcended the limitations of language. Scene 11. A night of joy. As the night deepened, the warm glow of the cottage enveloped us like a comforting embrace. Around that wooden table, we continued to share stories and dreams, our laughter carrying into the crisp Italian air. Carlo, his eyes twinkling with mirth, leaned forward and asked, "So, Alex, what are your dreams for the future? Where do you see the road taking you?" Alex paused, taking a moment to savor a sip of wine. "Well," he began, his voice filled with a sense of determination, "my dream is to compete in the European Cycling Championships. It's been a goal of mine since I was a young boy racing with the subway in New York." Carlo's face lit up with enthusiasm and said, "Ah, the European Championships. It's a grand stage for cycling. I have no doubt you'll make it there." Ponti, her eyes shining with curiosity, chimed in, "And what about your family, Alex? Do they support your passion for cycling?" A warm smile spread across Alex's face as he thought of his family back in New York. "Absolutely," he replied. "My parents have always been my biggest supporters. They've cheered me on at races, patched me up after falls, and never once doubted my dreams." Carlo nodded in understanding. "Family is important," he affirmed. "They are the ones who stand by us through thick and thin." The conversation flowed, each moment adding to the tapestry of shared experiences. Alex spoke of the challenges he had faced on his journey, the sacrifices made in pursuit of his passion, and the camaraderie among his teammates. Carlo and Ponti, in turn, shared stories of their own adventures and the enduring love that had kept them together through the years. As the night wore on, the barriers of language continued to dissolve. It was as if we spoke a universal tongue, one that transcended words and found expression in our laughter, our gestures, and the warmth of our interactions. Carlo, ever the gracious host, refilled our glasses with wine, and we raised them in a silent toast to the unexpected connection that had brought us together. The pasta dishes had been cleared away, but the flavors lingered on our palates, a reminder of the culinary delight we had shared. Under the vast expanse of the Italian night sky, we continued to weave the threads of our stories, dreams, and aspirations. It was a night of joy, of forging connections that defied expectations. As the stars above bore witness to our shared humanity, we felt the profound truth that the roads we traverse are not solely those etched onto maps, but the paths of mutual involvements that unite us all.
The Cyclist, by Erik Røde, 1755. Read by Sally Ronstadt.